Hi, welcome to the A section of our Blue Skies tutorial. If you haven't already, look over the chord sheet with the lyrics and strum through that. I know that the voicings probably seem pretty simple to a lot of people, but they're the voicings that are used throughout this. So if we can get our left hand used to those chord voicings before we dive into the arrangement, we can worry more about the right hand, which is really where the magic is happening. Also, I'd like you to sing along with the lyrics. That helps us get the melody in our ear, and if we don't know the melody that we're listening for, we're going to be unable to really appropriately coax it out of the instrument. So sing and play through the changes and get very comfortable with that before diving into this arrangement here. To begin with, we're going to take our E minor 7th chord, and on beat 1, we're just going to pluck our open E string with the side of our thumb, the fleshy part of it here. That gives us a nice warm, fat sound. There's a differentiation from our nail that we usually strum with. So we'll play just that E, and then on beat 2, we're just going to come down a common strum with our first finger with the nail all the way through. And then after that, we're going to pluck our A string, which is the B on the 2nd fret here that we have voiced. And then we're going to just do a basic down-up strum. So the first measure will sound like this. It'll be thumb, down, up. So our first measure. Now on to measure 2, we're going to do something very similar. We're going to pluck a bass note on beat 1. In this case, it's going to be our D sharp. We are moving to our E major minor 7th, which sounds like a lot, but it's really the same exact chord, just with a D sharp in the bass. We're going to voice it open, 3, 3, open. We have this open A string, even though it's not in the chord, but it's one of our melody notes that we're going to utilize in a moment. So on beat 1, with our thumb, we're going to pluck our D sharp, which is the 3rd fret of our C string here. And then on beat 2, we're going to do a partial strum. Whenever we do the partial strums in this, we're not going to use a loose first finger, but we're going to brace it with our thumb, which will give us a little bit more accuracy and a little bit more power. So put down this chord, and you're just going to strum your G and C strings. You practice doing this a little bit by itself so you get used to it. Now the next part is a variation on the 4-B split stroke that's used throughout the arrangement. So it's going to be 4 down strums in a row, but it's going to be quarter, 8th, 8th, quarter. So slow, quick, quick, slow. And we're going to use these partial strums. So it's going to be partial strum, full strum, partial strum, full strum. But our left hand isn't changing at all. We're using our right hand to get the melody out. So this bar will sound like this. So it's thumb, partial, all the way through, partial, all the way through. And then when we get to our next bar, just our standard E minor 7th chord, back to our first position here, and we're going to strum that whole chord nice and slowly with our thumb and arpeggiate it to give us just a little bit different of a sound. And then we're going to use a common strum, so it's going to be quarter, 8th, 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 quarter. So down, down, up, down, up, down. That's all. And then the 4th bar of this first line, we're going to come down to our E minor 7th over C sharps with our 6th in the bass. But what this really looks like is our regular A 7th chord. So it's just the 1st fret of our C string here fretted, and that's all. And we're going to do the same exact pattern that we just did with the partial strum. It's going to be thumb, partial strum, full strum, partial strum, full strum. Same rhythmic pattern, same right hand pattern, different chord. Just like that. So let me play the first 4 bars for you, nice and slow. And on the 5th bar, we're going to resolve to our G 6th chord, which you'll note is exactly the same as our E minor 7th, but your ear will hear it as something different. This is our tonic. This is where our ear wants us to go. So we get to this G6th, and we're going to again strum that with our thumb as opposed to picking an individual note, just to give us a different sort of textural feel. And then we're going to come down with a regular strum with our first finger. So it's going to be thumb, all the way through. And then on beat 3, we're going to use the side of our thumb again to pick an individual note. This time it's going to be on our C string, the 2nd fret, that D right there. And then we're just going to do a down up strum. So this 5th bar sounds like this. Now for the next bar, we're going to a D7th chord harmonically, but with where the melody is, we can actually just keep our G6th chord down the whole time, and we don't have to change anything with our left hand. So it's going to be 2 quick strums, 1 slow one, and then 2 thumb notes, all right? So it's going to be, and then C string, E string, G string. So for this, these first 2 bars, it's going to sound like this. And then for the rest of this bar, we're leaving our G6 down here. We're just going to strum through with 8 notes after we hit that G. And then we're going to switch over to our B7th chord, which gets us back to the E minor 7th. It is 4, 3, 2, open. And we're going to do a quarter note, so a down strum, a down up, and then we're going to do our triplet stroke. If you're not familiar with this, let me know. I'll send you a video breaking down this, but it sounds like this. And then just a down strum. So our last bar will sound something like this. So here's the entire A section, nice and slowly. Now the only difference when we get to the second A section is we'll end with a D7th chord instead of the B7th. And in the last A section, we're going to put an outro onto the tune, but the rest is identical. So if you get these 8 bars down, you're really 75% of the way through this entire arrangement. Nice and slowly, here's the entire A section.